All right, so we're going to look at something like long division. So where you might have to do something like 3,159 and divide by 48. This video isn't really going to explain why this division algorithm works, but I encourage you to think about that. But it's just going to be the steps that you need to follow in order to work something like this out. So if we were to start working that out, you might be familiar with this kind of notation. 3,159 is the dividend. 48 in this case is the divisor, and you just got to keep those words in mind as we work through this. And then the algorithm basically says, all right, ask yourself, how many times is 48 going to 3? Doesn't work. How many times is it going to 31? Doesn't work. How many times is it going to 315? And then this is where you make a bit of an estimate. So we can say that our first step is to estimate how many times 48 fits into 315. And this will take a bit of, working it out on the side, but 48 times 6 is 288, which we know is close. So then we write 6 in the quotient, and then we do a subtraction. So we write a 6 at the top, and then we subtract 288, and that gives us 27. And then the next part from here is to bring down the next number in the dividend. So the next number is 9, so that 9 is going to come down. And so then we can see that we've brought that next digit down, and then so now we work with 297. And again, we ask how many times does 48 fit into 279? We estimate that, and we get 48 times 5 is 240. We can see that that's close, and if we go over, it'll be too large. So now we write 5 in the quotient, and then subtract 240 from 279. So let's see what that might look like. The 5 in the quotient, 240 there, 279, and then we bring down the next number from the dividend. And now we're working with 390. So how many times does 48 fit into 390? And we do it all over again. So estimate 48 times 8 is 384, which is close. And then we write 8 in the quotient now. And then we subtract that 384. And that leaves us with 6. Okay, and then we bring down the next number from the dividend, which gives us to 60. And then we ask ourselves, how many times does 48 fit into 60? Well, that's just once, and there's going to be a remainder of 12. So we put that 12 down there, and then we bring the 0 down, and we get 120. And so now we're working with 120. And you get the process. You continue that until you've worked out all the digits. I've just run out of space, but I'm just going to explain. The last step is to just continue that process of estimating, multiplying, subtracting, and bringing down digits, and eventually you'll get to your final answer. Sometimes you might get a recurring answer, but in this case, if we just sort of continue it in our head, we'd say 48 goes into 120 twice, with remainder 24, I think, and then bring down the next 0, and 48 goes into 240 5 times. So we get a 2 there and a 5 there. And so we get a final answer of, let me go back. You get a final answer of 65.8125. All right, if you found that video useful, give us a thumbs up. Let us know how you're going with all your maths. If you need any private tutoring, I'll put some details below. But yeah, if you could support the channel, even just by liking or subscribing, that'd be really helpful. And I'll talk to you soon. Good luck.